Hi, neighbor. Welcome back to Theater and Dance Today. I'm your host, Professor Derek, and I'm excited to learn more about the production of The Seagull today with Leslie Knight, who is one of the assistant directors of the show. The Seagull tells the story of four artists who navigate life and the romance and artistic quarrels that come with it through loyalty, love, and ambition. So, Leslie, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
First off, we were talking earlier, you are a senior English education major.
I am, yes.
How did you get involved with us?
I have been involved with the theater department for as long as I've been at Appalachian. I started working on club shows, mostly acting, and then I moved more into directing production actually with this show. This is the first time that I've been an assistant director, and it has been such a wonderful learning experience so far.
And we might mention you're working with Professor Derek Davidson, who's directing the show. And how long have you guys been at rehearsal?
We have been rehearsing for 9 weeks, so we started as soon as we got back from Labor Day break, hit the ground running, did some table work, and then moved as soon as we could into blocking and working out the physicality of the show.
So the press release is talking about four artists, right? I'm thinking of the average college student.
Yes.
And, you know, they're going to come and you know, we don't readily associate with actors, but the human aspects of this show is really what comes to the forefront. So what would you say about that? What would a college student see that they're going to latch onto?
Well, I think the show certainly is concerned with art and talking about what art is, what art isn't, what perhaps art should be. But so much of the show in typical Chekhovian style is looking at realism and looking at what real life is like for real people. The play is set in 1895 rural Russia on a farm, but it truly feels like it could be set in small town America, in any rural type setting. You get that feeling of community, of family, of the importance of relationships and loyalty, and especially in this show, romantic relationships. There is a lot of talk about love and what love means to these characters.
So we got a Downton Abbey thing going on here.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and there's several different classes of relationships. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the show, we have all sorts of, like you mentioned, all sorts of relationships that are coming to the forefront. We have some romantic relationships that are more approved of by society, perhaps. We have some romantic relationships that may not necessarily be approved of. There are a couple of affairs that are going on among some of the characters. We have a lot of familiar relationships that we look at, especially parents and children, and how those generational ties are related to the plot of the show, but also how those characters treat each other. In the main four characters, we have a mother and a son pair, and we see them together a lot on stage, and how those particular characters interact with each other drives so much of the emotional force behind the show. And I think that that is something, one of the other things that a lot of students and just a lot of faculty as well who might come and see the show can really identify with and understand from just a human standpoint.
Right, so two of the major characters are college age.
Yes.
Nina
and Constantine.
And Constantine is a young playwright.
Yes.
And the problem is his mom
is an actress.
and she can't be young because she's got an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah,
right?
25 in the show.
25-year-old kid in the show. What about what I like? My favorite characters are the schoolmaster and Masha.
Yeah, Medvedenko and Masha. Yeah, we have been so blessed to have such a talented cast. They have all worked really, really hard bringing these characters to life in really fascinating ways and in very realistic ways. There is not a single performance, a single moment on stage that doesn't feel real and doesn't feel grounded in true emotion and like true feeling of a moment. And then Medvedenko and Masha are exactly that way. We really see Masha's kind of dislike for Medvedenko initially playing out very, very clearly, and Medvedenko's affections for her from the start of the play. They open the show in the very first act, and they open the beginning of the last act of the show. And they are a fascinating way to look at how relationships have changed. And there's a 2-year jump between the end of Act 3 and the beginning of Act 4. And they very much serve as kind of like a barometer for the audience of like, this is how things are changing. which I think is very, very helpful for the audience from a watching perspective, but also from a character's perspective.
Well, here's a question for you, knowing acting, the challenge of being realistic in a 90-seat theater. How have the director, the cast, and the assistant directors kind of, what have you guys been doing to try to get that realism to be, it's right in front, it's almost camera acting.
Yeah, absolutely. We are so close in the IG Greer studio space. We are so close to the audience. And in the Seagull, we have several parts where characters speak directly to the audience. They go out and they are making eye contact, talking directly to the audience, treating them as if they are a part of this world that we are creating. Our set and our lighting designer, Mike Helms, has done some wonderful things with the set that have enabled us to actually use the entranceway into Greer as a way for characters to come and leave. So they are literally in the audience at some points in the show, directly interacting with those on stage and with those in the audience. Derek Davidson, our director, has come up with these sorts of tableaus at some point in the show. So we have these wonderful picturesque moments where everybody from any seat that you are in, because it is an amphitheater type seating arrangement, any seat that you are in, there is something to see and something interesting going on stage for you. There's not a bad seat in the house with this show, which is super exciting.
So how are the actors working? That's a massive risk to turn right to the audience and start talking to them. How are the actors dealing with that? I mean, what has been the process to get them to kind of open up and go, okay, I'm going to look right at you?
Yeah, so much of it has been building emotional vulnerability as those characters, and really being in touch with this person that you are portraying on stage and bringing them, making them a part of yourself almost, and having that vulnerability.
So there you have it. The Seagull promises to be a really audience interactive experience. It's being performed in IG Greer Theater now through Sunday, November 3rd. For more information on tickets and showtimes, you can go to www.theaterandance.appstate.edu, or you can call the Valborg box office at 828-262-4046. For Theater and Dance Today, I'm your host, Professor Derek, and I will see you at the theater.